Hey guys, here's a quick video for all you coaches, leaders, parents, salespeople, all the influencers out there. I watch a lot of videos and I read a lot of books and I go to a lot of trainings and I study and actually coach a lot of salespeople, a lot of business people. And for some reason, I think that there's this mindset, this psychology that in order to get people to do stuff, to sell them on our products or ideas, or to be a badass coach, we feel like we need to be superior, to be like a drill sergeant, to tell people what to do. And I've noticed this movement where people have this energy where they're completely superior, dominant, yelling at people, telling people what to do, saying step up and yelling at people. And they come with this mindset or this preconceived notion that people are weak. So they're talking down to you. Without even knowing anything about the person they're talking to or putting some video out there, it's like they're coming with a superior attitude of talking down to people. But check this out. When you think about the people that have had the biggest influence on human beings or the planet as a whole, they're some of the most loving, kind, warm, generous people I've ever met. When you actually connect and sit down and talk to a Tony Robbins, I mean, the guy just, he just opens your heart up. I'll never forget this. One of the times I was talking to Tony, we were at an event and backstage, and he asked me this. He said, Eli, we do these events. It was a date with destiny. And there was people there from like 60 countries around the world. People flew from all over. And he said, people often can't afford this. It's like $10,000 plus travel expenses. It's well over 20 grand. And they come there, they invest, they have to pay for hotel, they have to convince their family. And he said, there's really only one reason that they do it. And I said, what's that? And I was thinking he was going to say, because I'm the best, because they're going to get results. Nah, he said, it's because I love them. And if you've been to a Tony Robbins event, or you've been in the presence of somebody, or even watched the videos, or listened to a speech of somebody like a Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, a Gandhi, a Martin Luther King, they can tap into that superior role where they want to get things done, but they connect with the heart. And so there's something that Tony taught me. I want to make this as brief as possible, but I want to set up for you a frame, especially if you're a coach. This will really help you out. It's, in my opinion, because this is what's really helped me out in my ability to influence. And I tell you this, once I learned this and actually applied it effectively, my income doubled. I promote Tony Robbins tickets, and I do a lot of sales for him. I'm actually the top person all time in that organization, the #1 self-development company in the world. I've helped more people get to his events as far as live presentations than anybody in that business. And once I mastered this, my income, my sales, my ability to make an impact doubled. So here's the quick concept. There are frames or postures that we need to be able to tap into when it comes to influence. So if you imagine them like this on 3 levels. First, we have superior. And that's when I'm telling you what to do. And we've got to tap into that sometimes, especially if you're a parent, a teacher, a coach. You got to be the person that's telling people what to do. That's completely superior. But when you get locked into that frame, if I keep on talking down to you, eventually you're going to put up a wall and you're going to think like, what a jerk. And the analogy that Tony explained this to me with was watching, he said he learned this by watching Bruce Lee fight. And Bruce Lee, if you've studied him, or I'm sure you know a bit about him, he mastered every different type of discipline in martial arts. But not only that, he would learn a move or a kick or a punch, and he would think about fighting from a superior position where he's maybe punching down at you, and then an equal where he's aligned with you, here you are, and then also inferior, maybe laying on his stomach and still be able to fight you, or on his back. And there's an entire field of martial arts now called jiu-jitsu, where it's actually, these people win battles and fights by fighting on their back. So even being in an inferior position, we think that being inferior is weak, but it's not. In jiu-jitsu, you can actually break people's limbs and choke people out from this inferior position. So when you go inferior, you're actually building people up. And that's not a bad thing. Doesn't mean you're weak. You're just connecting with them. And when you really drop down, they drop down their guard, as opposed to me coming off superior, fully superior over and over and over again. People are going to put up a guard. They're going to block you out, because they get tired of being talked down to all the time. And so that's the first. The second is equal. And that's when I talk to you as a friend. The majority of your time communicating should be in that friend zone where you're authentically connecting. And the interesting thing for me is this: I talk to people, on a daily basis that are much, much, much more successful than me. I also talk to people that are much less successful than me. And it's a good mindset to be in. No matter who somebody is, you have to talk to them as a friend. You're going to connect in that realm. That's where the majority of the influence happens. But also, you can't get stuck there, because if you're a coach or a parent, you can't influence somebody if you talk to them just as a friend. They'll say, oh, Bob, Susie, Jimmy, that's my friend. I'll just put it off. We'll do this later. So you have to be superior sometimes and step in and make people do something. So realize this is where you're going to need to be most of the time, but not all the time. I see a lot of great coaches get connected in that frame where they listen to their client's story, then they share a story, and then you're more just like two friends. So you do have to tap into that realm. But also there's a third called inferior, and I touched on that. And that's where you build people up. That's why you connect with them. That's where you're able to make people feel empowered. And that's a big part of your job as a coach or a parent or a leader, to make people feel empowered, to remind them that they are enough, because you can't build on failure. You can't tear down, a person and then try to build them up. You have to build on what's already working. You can build on a foundation of who they are is enough, and that they already are successful and they already are amazing. And this is one of the ways that I was explained to it in psychology. Imagine if you have little Johnny over here and little Johnny does something bad. You wouldn't say, Johnny, you're bad. You would say, Johnny, you're amazing. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're amazing. But this behavior is not like you. So you start to separate the behavior from the child, where you can build his self-esteem and confidence, but not break him down, but still separate this bad behavior, so he sees that not as part of himself, that he's not this label, stupid, dumb, worthless. And when you talk down to the kid, it's not good. It's the same thing when you're coaching coaches. So here's what it looks like. I was talking to Tony about this, and we listened to an audio where he was doing a power talk with someone. I won't mention who it was, but this guy rambles. This guy, he's the worst speaker I've ever heard, but he's very, very, very successful. You would know his name. And this guy was going off on a tangent. So before I go into this little distinction, realize this: in order to be a powerful communicator, you need to be focused on the end result. I know exactly what I want you to feel at the end of this video. So I've taken just a moment to think about that. So he was clear in his outcome for where he wanted to take the conversation. And the person he was interviewing started to go off on a tangent. And he went in a superior just tone of voice. Realized there's three modes of communication: the words, our physiology, and our tonality. So these things also have different postures. It gets a little complex. You're gonna wanna play around with this. You're not gonna master this overnight. So this man was going off on a tangent, and he says, listen to me, completely superior. And he said it in the tone of voice like, shut the hell up, listen to me. And that's completely superior. And this man, I'm sure it felt like a twinge unconsciously of wanting to throw a punch back. But he says, the great thing about you is this. You do this, you've done this, and this, and this. So my question is, a redirect. So he goes inferior. He says, you've done this, and this, and this, and you're amazing because of this. But here's my question. Went back as a friend. So he changed postures. And so what it looks like this: say if you're a real estate agent, you might go, it's not going anywhere, and you say, look, this has got to change now. But ultimately, that's superior. But ultimately, I can't tell you what to do. This is your home, and you might not know me from Adam. I'm just some guy that you think is just trying to get commission. But honestly, we've been back and forth on this for a long time, and you and I are the same. We want to get this thing done. We want to make some money, spend time with our family, but something's got to change. It's got to change now. Would you agree, yes or no? So that question is allowing people to make their own decision. So even with your tone of voice and your language, you're changing things all the time. So when I'm asking somebody about coaching, I'll say, look, I notice a pattern in you that I've seen in lots of people, that this pattern that you're going into every day is not serving you, and it will not get you the success that you want, and you know it. But I'd like to help you change this pattern if you'll let me. So I went superior, then I went equal. We talked about these patterns. We've all got them. And I'd like to help you if you'll let me. So I give them the power back. So I'm always changing these postures or these frames. I've got to cut this off before 10 minutes, but I hope this has served you a little bit. I'll expand on this in a later video. Hope this is good. If you have any questions about it, let me know and I'll do another video. Take care. Bye-bye.